coverage. Round 19 is next. But before I get into the game, for those that stayed and watched the full hour of yesterday's video, thank you. I don't know how you did that. I wouldn't be able to sit through that. All that rambling, all that nonsense. But hopefully you get something out of it. And I wanted to highlight something because I mean I could go on and on about that game. It was so insanely complicated with so many things to talk about. But for those that were watching, I did mention that I was way ahead on the clock until near the end, because near the end I'd actually realized that I hadn't tracked properly. So I actually did something that I rarely ever need to do, but is very useful in situations where I'm low on the clock and really need to retrack my tiles. And I actually tracked the game from scratch on another score sheet. So I just went play by play as quickly as possible and just ticked off all the letters. And that way that gave me a quicker way to making sure that everything was tracked properly, but it also uses up a score sheet. But yeah, just wanted to mention that was one of the reasons I got really low on the clock and asked for an extra minute eventually. And anyways, all that being said, this next round 19, after being 10 and 8, I was faced against Kenji Matsumoto, who was one of the favorites to do well or win the tournament, and who did a lot of mentoring. I will say that Jason Lee was my main mentor, but Kenji was definitely up there. Taught me a lot about intricate strategy, and I've had lots of discussions, lots of debates as well, of ideas and strategy and all that. So he's been very, very essential in my Scrabble upbringing. And yeah, I've played him a lot. Only played him a couple times in tournaments, or a few times. I think he's 2-1 against me. The first game I played him, I beat him. He made a boneheaded mistake. Second game I played him, I made a boneheaded mistake, or two boneheaded mistakes, and lost by like 2 points. And the third time I played him, I made another pretty bad mistake, and he won. So, seems like no player was allowed to make a mistake in this series. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I wanted to mention that I started to record the game. Actually, let's put in the first play first. So I played OG right here, which is actually the standard placement. You might think about playing OG without exposing any vowels, but unfortunately, you're exposing a very accessible double-double, as well as a potentially lucrative spot to play a D or an S. So actually, the more standard spot to play OG is here. It's more defensive. Even though you are exposing the E, it's very hard to overlap very well. And this does set up the same hooks, but they're not as dangerous, and it does set up a Y hook, which is also very unlikely to be an issue. So I open this with this, and Kenji plays Vegetate for 61. And at this point, I went to track and realized that I was using the score sheet I just used to retrack. So the same score sheet I just showed you guys. So I was just like, ah, shit. So I had to change score sheets and switch to this one, which I used to be very... let's get back in frame here. I used to be very superstitious about any mistakes on my score sheet before the game started. I'm less so at this point, but there used to be a time where I thought like every time I made a mistake where I like put the first player as second, the second player as first, like miswrote something, that I was going to lose the game, and it often was the case. But No, I think I was fine here. I don't think I was really superstitious, but I was tilted from the last game, still pretty destabilized. Um, and yeah, I was hoping to play this one well. I needed to play this one well. So here is nothing really better than to just play Lev, take out the bingo spot and balance the tiles and hope to bingo for not very many points next turn, maybe through the T. T seems the likeliest to be worthwhile here, or maybe a 7-letter word on the G or I columns if they stay available. Here, Kenji actually plays WoW, which to me was very scary. I mean, he can play WoW with a decent amount of racks, but I felt the way he played it, he was probably keeping another blank. Sometimes when you have the blank, it's very difficult to find moves. Sometimes it's very easy because sometimes the blank makes it so that you only have a very few select plays that are good that don't use the blank. So if you have, for example, 5 consonants, a blank, and a vowel, a play like WoW is super easy to spot. Whereas if you had another consonant, you'd have to think about that consonant in context, whether you should use it or not. Or of course, if you have four consonants and the blank, I don't know if I said 4 consonants, a vowel, and a blank, but that's too many letters. So three other consonants, a vowel, and a blank, or 4 consonants with a wow, will make a lot of your decisions kind of easy. So I put him on a rack like that, and I guess I was just hoping he'd draw 2 more consonants because there's really nothing I can do here. He blocked retailer. Um, and all I have is like aura somewhere. So yeah, there's not much I can do here. I could be maybe a bit aggressive and play like OR here. Um, but that would have not worked out very well. So I decided to play aura here, setting up the L hook, and hoping to bingo ending in a vowel, which seemed more likely than bingoing starting in a vowel. So it seems like this aura is probably the best choice, even though it does block the A. But I thought that blocking the A was actually pretty good, considering the range that I had put Kenji on, of having many consonants and or the blank. Blocking a vowel is always good, especially since I don't really need that vowel. I mean, I guess it is sort of helpful to have that vowel, but not super helpful. So here, Kenji plays Lutists for 66. And yeah, both blanks gone. He's up 104. And I draw both the J and the X here to my NIRE leave. And I have a couple options. I can play Je. I can even play... Yeah, this is probably not so good. I can even play JEU here to set up the X. So if I get Nix down next turn, that will score 58. So if I add these 2 scores together, 68. So every time I get my setup, I score 68 over 2 turns, which was just not worth it because I can score 39 now and very likely 30 next turn with the J. If I draw a U, I get Jurel and Oral. And there are just a variety of other ways for me to score similarly or more than 30. So yeah, the setup was definitely not worth it, especially since Kenji could sniff it out and like maybe play from the L, or maybe he could play. Oh, probably actually, if I play JEU, he would probably play like. I guess it's really hard to block the more I look at it. But yeah, he might. With some cases, he might block it. He might be able to like put a Y here or something. Or U? I don't know. Anyways, it just didn't seem worth it. It was a cool idea, but I decided to play Nyx. I thought the LIRN leave was obviously likelier to lead to a bingo than the EJLR, but this board was already very difficult to bingo on. And the times that I don't draw into a bingo with ILNR, I am just not scoring anything. And since I'm down 100, I need to score over multiple turns to stay within range to come back. So Nyx was my best option. Kenji exchanges 5. Kenji's a player that actually exchanges a lot more than average. So here I drew IUU, excuse me, and luckily one of the U's is what I wanted. Not 2 U's, but at least I get to score 44. But of course, Kenji was able to use this J that I threw out in space to get rid of one of his U's. And now I actually have to exchange. And I think Kenji mentioned something about how this was not fair. Like Kenji has this belief. I mean, it's pretty reasonable that because we use physical bags and draw physical tiles, whenever someone exchanges tiles, those tiles are far likely to be near the top of the bag. So he likes to mix the bag after he exchanges, just to try and get those letters to be more random, because that's the goal. We really don't want there to be like this weird metagame where your opponent's letters that they exchanged that they didn't want are like near the top, so you like draw from the bottom of the bag. Like that just doesn't seem right. It seems like totally against the spirit of the game for that to happen, which is why Kenji actually proposes a random, like a non-tactile way of drawing tiles, like having some weird machine that mixes the tiles. But I think that's just as dystopian as that metagame that I just mentioned. But Kenji, I think here mentioned that I should have shaken the bag, and I was like, no, dude, I shook the bag really, really hard. And I think we like coffee house a little bit, and he said that he exchanged like, I think, consonants or something. And I said I didn't exchange consonants. So maybe I gave him free information. I don't actually remember what happened. But yeah, here Kenji played what did he do here? Fatty. Oh yes, he played Fatty here, which is very bizarre because he can play it for 36 points with flutists, but he decided that maybe he missed flutists. I don't even remember. But I think either that or he decided that this was worth it defensively, but it obviously isn't. I can still bingo in multiple. I think he just missed flutists. I'm not sure. I forgot what he told me after the game. But yeah, here. What did I draw? What did I draw here? M-O-I. M-O-R-E, right? Yeah. I think it's just M-O-R-E. No, it's not. Oh, M-O-K-E. Okay. I can't even read my own handwriting. I think. Yeah. So I draw M-O-K-E. And yeah, in this position, there are some options here, but the board is quickly dying. And I thought that it was important to try and keep things open. So I decided to open an S hook that I don't have because I felt very much behind in this position. If I don't play in this area, Kenji will, and he'll score well. And what can I do elsewhere? Not much. I could play. I can't play Kend. If Kend were a word, that'd be perfect. But I think it's only a word in CSW. So there wasn't like any good plays that balanced well and opened the board. The only plays are like Ken, which just doesn't open anything. And yeah, Moke. So there's also Omen. I could set up my N with Nomen, and I'm actually curious. I think I'm going to take a look at these 3 plays in a simulation to see how they do. Let's just get it to give me the right details here. But Omen seems pretty good because it balances much better. ENN is very bad. And yeah, the problem with this play of Moke is if Kenji does have one of the 2 S's, the game's pretty much over. Like he's going to be scoring 40 and not opening too much. Whereas just something like Omen opens without like opening too drastically. The problem is Kenji can just play a 4-letter word ending in N to block the spot. I think it's easier to block the B column than it is the A column. So yeah, not quite sure here. I don't know if I'd play Moke again, but I thought it was a good decision. Here, Kenji plays Bruted, which I hold for quite some time, and eventually accept. Luckily, it is a word, and I actually draw into a bingo minuend, so game isn't over yet. Kenji plays Ouch, self-descriptive play, scoring 39 points. And here's where I made, I think, my mistake of the game. I think I should have just played Olia on the first row. And the reason being that actually opens a bingo lane that Kenji has to deal with. Whereas this play of Olia doesn't really open much. It's hard to start a word in E or an A. But the issue with all of these things is that if Kenji does have a word on the A column, I'm sunk again, because once I play Olia and Kenji plays on the A column, there's really not much left in the position. I might be able to bingo from 2A to 2H if I'm very lucky. So after a play like Olia here and a play on the A column, I can actually bingo with the first letter on 1A or keep opening spots. But by playing Olia here, I'm actually trapping myself a little bit. And Kenji doesn't even need to play on the A column. He can play on the 3 row, and he can even play on the 2 row if he wants to. And so I think the big difference in valuation when I ran a simulation on this, because I think, already analyze this game, just gives Olia a lot more points, but I think it's not as drastic as Quackle thinks. So I think I should still probably play Olia, because if Kenji does play on the A column, I do have this S that I can play from, and I can also open elsewhere on the board. But it's looking pretty bad no matter what. But I play Olia, and Kenji plays Pings, which I hold again, and Kenji at this point was like, sorry, you're holding this? And then he was like, I'm sorry, I'm coffee housing. I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, I'm just trying to remember for sure if this is valid, because Bings, if you had a B, this would not be a word. Bing is actually an exclamation. So it is not a noun. So I was just trying to make sure that that was the only ing word like that for that doesn't take an S. And I remembered, and I was like, okay, Pings is good. But sometimes words that seem normal are actually not necessarily valid. So yeah, here I had no idea what to do. I had this rack, and I could play Zona for 43 and keep BEH, but I'm like never bingoing after that. So I decided to play Bazoo to try and draw a very lucky bingo somewhere. But yeah, this play might not have been so good because it does block the P. But all of the plays that seemed okay block the P. But maybe I should play res. I have the last E. The E is really valuable if I want a bingo. And it's very unlikely that I'll be able to come back any other way, even though the unseen letters are horrendous for the most part. 6 I's, a Q, a V, no E's, as mentioned before, and just a lot of junk. I'm just behind by way too much for to even consider like trying to win without a bingo. But I could see myself playing res just to maybe cut the spread of the game a little bit, because it's just as ridiculous to think that I'm going to bingo on this board with these unseen letters. But I did think that I had an actual chance after Bazoo and not after Zona. But Quackle once again hates this decision, wants me to take Zona and run and maybe take another turn to try and bingo, but I'm not really sure about that because Kenji's going to be able to play very precisely these next few moves to try and rid the board of any threats that I might have. So I don't know if this is the right play. It's definitely better for, I think, spread purposes, but I don't know that it wins more than Bazoo. So I play Bazoo. Kenji plays... where does he play? Kenji plays Orgy somewhere. Where does that even go? For 30 points. Huh. Oh. Sorry. I completely screwed up the analysis of this turn. I actually played Olia here to keep the S open. This has been too long, man, since these games. So all the things I said, forget that I said them. I played Olia here to open this bingo lane and keep this S open. But Quackle hated it. Quackle thinks I should play on the A column to get rid of the scoring spot. Maybe for the reasons that I mentioned of being able to like defend against plays from A1. But I don't know. I figured that yeah, I don't know. I figured that if he has a play from A1, I was probably not winning anyway. So actually, this is what happens. I don't have Zona at all. I have Azon, and Quackle way prefers Azon to Bazoo for pretty obvious reasons. But again, I was just trying to keep the S open, trying to keep lanes open, but in vain. I think I should just play Azon here. Yeah, this turns out to be the game winning or the game losing mistake. I think Bazoo or both of those plays just not taking the scoring spot, because Kenji scores 30 here, goes up by way too much, and I have to actually exchange because I drew the Q. So here I kept ENR, just trying to bingo as much as possible from the V, for example. And then a lot of funny things happen. This game gets very bizarre. Kind of like the last one, but a little different. Kenji plays rap for 21. And I start making these insane plays. So the first thing I do is I play in for 4. And the reason I played in for 4 was... What was the reason I did this? I was going for... I was going for a word. I was going for a specific word. Oh no, I play in for 6. Yeah, I remember now. I play in here, trying to block QI, and trying to Q stick Kenji in advance, because I thought that was like my best chance of winning. But maybe the reason I should be playing Azon is that if I do Q stick, I could actually win without a bingo. That was something I maybe didn't consider earlier, that I could win without a bingo if I stick Kenji with the Q. So I play IN to block the Q spot and go for what word was I going for? Oh, viremic. Yes. So I was trying to draw into this word. So I needed specifically an A and an M, which had two possible draws, two A's. So I can draw the first A and the M or the second A and the M. And I thought that was my best chance of winning if I play viremic and he has the Q. Here, Kenji plays elf, leaving 3 in the bag, sort of signaling that he probably doesn't have the Q. And I had just exchanged it anyway, so he would have had to draw it on a 2-tile pull, which is very unlikely. So he plays off the 1 tile, and unfortunately here, I redraw the Q in my 2-tile pick. So I draw QI, and I've just blocked myself, and I can no longer exchange. And I'm starting to like make these crazy ideas up in my mind that like I can convince Kenji that I don't have the Q by blocking certain spots. So here, what was I blocking? I play IS for 2 because I thought I was blocking SUQ. And you'll notice that there is no U left. So I had actually mistracked for the second game in a row. But this time I didn't realize it. I thought that there was a U unseen, but that U was gone, long gone, with, what was the last U played? Yeah, minuends. So I don't know why I thought there was a U, but I was trying to block SUQ, and making him think that I didn't have the Q, so he maybe tries to open a spot so he doesn't get Q stuck. But yeah, I'm completely screwed here. Obviously, there's nothing I can do. Kenji plays Vin. So again, the bag is still not empty. So he started doing this insane, weird dance. Like, I'd like to say that it's genius, but it probably just isn't. It's probably just dumb. And here I just don't know what to do. So I play Lich, trying to draw the N for CINQ, and setting up Lychee and QI, which I thought he would obviously be able to block no matter what, but it might just slow him down a little bit. So I do that. And here, I don't actually know what he had because I thought he had a U. AIMANT. Here I played MIR. Okay. MIR QIE. Okay. So yeah. So this was actually Kenji's rack. And now it's the actual end game, and all he has to do is block QI and make sure I don't get a Q play down. So he plays AM. Okay, it says IT is maybe better, but it doesn't find AM, so I'm not actually sure about that. So he plays AM, and here, again, I don't have a Q spot, but I can still try and set one up. So I play MIR in vain, trying to set up the Q. Quackle says this is a mistake, that I should just play Lychee first and then play MIR next turn or something. I don't know if that's true, because this is a very complicated endgame. Quackle tends to get these wrong. Here, Kenji plays Aha. Before playing IN, he was, I think, supposed to play IN first, because now what? No, there's no reason. There's no reason he should play IN first. I think this is fine. So here I play Meyer, because again, I thought Kenji had a U, but he doesn't. Then he plays in for 14. Then I play Ami, or BI, same difference. Kenji plays Vino and LO. I have to pass. Then Kenji plays off the T and wins. So this game finishes 322 to 470. Very bad loss for me, losing by 148 points. It was a very interesting game with a lot of decisions I might have been able to improve on. But a lot of them I'm not really sure that I did anything wrong. So I'm interested to see what you guys think in the comments about the plays that I made. Especially the ones earlier in the game, to see if you thought that I could have improved on them. Maybe I missed something in my analysis. Let me know what you think. Thanks, as always, for watching. This was round 19. After this round, I'm 10-9 and just like feeling like, okay, my tournament's over. I guess I just have to have fun now. Do my best to have fun. And yeah, join me for round 20 tomorrow. And yeah, playing against another legend of the game. So looking forward to bringing that to you guys and talk to you soon.